Hello and welcome to Rules and Rulings, helping you be judge, jury, but hopefully not executioner of your 5e D&D games. Today we're covering a character archetype from the world of video games and why it seems to translate so poorly into the TTRPG world. A tank is a specific type of character whose primary goal is to protect other members of their group by tanking the hits themselves. The first thing a tank needs in games where they work well is the ability to absorb large amounts of damage, whether that be by avoidance of the damage, mitigation of damage, or regeneration of the damage dealt. The second thing they need is a means of directing attacks towards them and not their allies. In most video games, this latter feature is achieved through a mechanic known as aggro. In video games, computer-controlled characters decide where to direct their attacks based on the AI programmed into them by developers. Aggro is a game mechanic that changes the priorities of that programming. Dealing damage and applying taunts can increase aggro, while hiding, keeping your distance, and presenting less of a threat can all reduce it. In TTRPGs, enemy behaviour is not usually determined by a complicated algorithm based on hard and fast rules. It's determined by the GM of that game. The games that do have mechanics that emulate aggro, such as Focus in Gloomhaven, tend to lean more towards the board game side of the design space. When the behaviour of their enemies is part of the role-playing element of the game, the concept of a rigidly defined aggro system gets harder to justify. Without adequate tools to support it, tanks in TTRPGs work as well as a GM allows them to. A good GM will hopefully buy into a player's goals and make tanking viable for them, but it does require a good GM. Now, that isn't to say that mechanics supporting that style of play don't or can't exist. Spells like Compelled Duel force targets to focus on you, whereas features like Goading Attack and Ancestral Protectors give disadvantage to attacks against other targets. The Barbarian's Reckless Attack feature makes them a juicier target by offering up advantage to their attackers. These all work using D&D's advantage system, making attacking anyone else a slightly less ideal option. They don't, however, have any effect on spells or abilities that provoke saving throws. They don't provide consequences for enemies that attack other targets. They don't give the tank tools to draw attention or intercept attacks. At the end of the day, without a wider variety of tools to support them, the tankiest tank in the world could still be ignored by a smart character who wants to gank their squishy wizard friend. Now, I'd like to hear your ideas. How do you make tanking work? Do you need to have aggro or focus rules in your game? Or do you have to rely on the DM to support the fantasy? How do other games handle it? Let me know your favourite approaches in the comments, and I'll see you next time. But if you want to see more rules and rulings before the next video, tune into Wally DM's stream this Wednesday at 11 BST. We'll be playtesting the Sagas system by OKSDM in a Weird West one-shot where I'll be playing a luck-infused gunslinger named Cal of Amity.